What is up, Sooner Nation? I am Casey Mallon, and you are now, come on, get with me, home in a Sooner state of mind. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, and Amazon Music. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. Sooner state of mind, family. What is good? It all rolls into one, and nothing comes for free. There's nothing you can hold for very long. And when you hear that song come crying like the wind, it seems like all this life was just a dream. Sooner state of mind, family. Happy New Year. Got past the Christmas rush. Got past the new year, and even though we've moved past 2024, it is the season that keeps on giving for Sooner Nation. It seems like every week it is something. After the 21-20 loss to Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl, Zac Alley had an ambiguous statement regarding the rumor he was headed to West Virginia to join Rich Rod's staff as the Mountaineers' new defensive coordinator. After that game, Ali said, quote, "Every year there's going to be something that comes up with jobs and whatnot, man. But I'm just excited about our team. I think coming back next season, we're going to have a great opportunity to be successful, be a top defense in the country, and hopefully we get some young guys who can come along to help us do that." Well, that quote aged like a frozen turkey left in the backseat of a car over a long Thanksgiving week holiday. Just 2 days later, news broke that Alley would indeed be joining Rich Rod at West Virginia as their new assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, and linebackers coach. That's less than a full year after Alley was named the DC at OU. Now, how Ali handled the situation definitely had shades of TBOW vibes. It is not nearly as impactful as the TBOW departure. Ali is rejoining Rich Rod, who he had worked under for the previous 2 seasons before joining the Sooners. I get that. Understandable. In title, he has much more responsibility. That makes sense. Everybody's saying a lateral move. He's getting more titles and more work to do. And we all know this has been, and will be Brent Venables' defense. With this move, Ali gets out of the Venables shadow and gets to go to a program with much less spotlight, much less pressure, less competition, and a much easier job. So it makes sense that he would want to do all those things. Now, while it is a bummer, turn off the ringer here, JIC, to have to replace yet another coordinator, in my opinion, this is not a huge loss. Yeah, Ali was a rising star in the coaching ranks, and there was stuff he did do well, but if you're going to lose a member, you might as well lose it under the guy that you brought in to change the defense. Now, there is no word on who will fill the position yet. Worst case scenario, BV can call the defense. And with as much heat as BV has going into this next season, taking the reins on the defense, not necessarily a bad thing. There, to this point, there haven't been a lot of names emerging as potential replacements, but one name that is circulating, former Clemson defensive coordinator Wes Godwin. Wesh. Godwin got promoted when BV bounced a few years ago, and they had been a pretty good defense, although they seem to have regressed in the last couple of years. And this year, the run defense was not good. Not good. And they lost some games they should have won. Is that on the defense? Or is that on the way Dabo does business, not going into the portal? I don't know. We know Wes and BV have a good history together. It would make a lot of sense. There's some other former coordinators and position coaches floating around out there. So it's TBD on all that. And as it's gone in the previous couple weeks, as soon as we post this show, the hire will be made. So if we help facilitate that move, that's what we're here for. Any way we can contribute to Sooner Magic, we're all for it. And as far as things that worry me moving into the 2025 season, the defense is not one of them. I'm totally confident where we're going there. So if we had to lose someone, this is where to do it. But nonetheless, we will keep you guys posted. And yet there was another departure from the Oklahoma staff this week. Not a coach, but OU's assistant general manager, Chuck Lilly, is leaving to become West Virginia's general manager. For the Sooners, Lilly helped roster build, player evaluations, transfer portal, and NIL. Obviously going to join Zac Alley for the Mountaineers. And this comes on the heels of OU announcing a new football recruiting structure. They did that this summer, which had included Lilly, current general manager Curtis Lofton, and a partnership with former Philadelphia Eagles VP of football admin Jake Rosenberg. I like that move. Philly's been solid. Programs starting to take an NFL model in their approach to do things. OU also announced a partnership with former AT&T CEO Randall Stevenson. That was in December. Rounding out a more expansive general manager function, according to Joe C. Stevenson, serving as an advisor to the Prez and Castiglione without a salary. Not bad for the Sooners. Back to Lilly. He served as a scouting analyst from K-State from 2020 to 2023. Prior to that, he had stints with the New York Football Giants as well as Clemson. So we shall see. We shall see. Lots of players leaving in the portal, getting some new names in there. The Sooners add Cal wide receiver Josiah Martin. He's coming to the Sooners. He has 3 seasons of eligibility left. 5'11", 170 pounds. In 7 games last year for Cal, 12 receptions, 112 yards, 5 rushing attempts, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Sooners have made an effort to add a lot to the receiving core. Fun fact, Martin was teammates at Geyer High School with Eli and Peyton Bowen. And he was a player that they looked at earlier. And better late than never, he's gonna come back to Oklahoma. Sooners aren't done in the portal. According to Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports, Sooners are one of 5 programs expected to get a visit from Marvin Jones Jr., who entered the portal after 2 seasons at Georgia and then Florida State. More pass rush. He's played in 36 games. coming off his best season, 25 total tackles, 6 TFLs, 4 sacks, 16 pressures. That was in 23. So, in 23, 12 tackles, 5 TFLs, and a sack. He was a 5-star prospect. Oklahoma had been recruiting him during the TBOW days, and now they're back in play. BV also tried to recruit this guy when he was at Clemson, so we shall see what happens. That'd be a good get, I think. Plenty of stars left on the defense, losing a handful of key players with Ford and Downs and Woolard. Got to find ways to get that pass rush. Sooners also, shockingly, lost Lewis Carter to the portal. He's one of the dudes that I would hope would have stayed, but for whatever reason, if he wasn't going to start or not getting enough playing time, he's going to UCF. So looks like we'll be able to wish him good luck in the majority, if not all, of his games. And that is the Sooners. Hopefully their last, the 26th player of theirs going into the portal. Petaway, Arnold, Nick Anderson, Caleb Hicks, Josh Bates, Connie Walker, Makar Vickers, that's a brutal one. Farouk, McCullough. So lots of players on the departure. We've had 12 players that are coming in via the portal. Addressed areas of need with the offensive line, the wide receiver, and the tight end position. And obviously the quarterback position, John Mateer coming in. So at least the Sooners identified their areas of need and attacked those positions. Lots of belly aching coming out of Sooner Nation due to the players they're getting. No huge names out of there. Not a lot coming from big-time D1 schools, but, some people fall through the cracks and don't get that opportunity right out the gate. Ramondre Stevenson, Hollywood Brown, Dede Westbrook, Josh Heupel. Doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you do when you get there. So not going to act like I knew a ton about a bunch of these players before they got on the Sooner radar, but I'm willing to chill out for a minute and see what happens before being reactionary and flying off the handle. So I think I would rather have some of these guys that are flying under the radar and really looking for opportunity rather than a guy that's come out, was supposed to be hot shit, and it didn't work out wherever he is, and now he's belly aching or whatever, or trying to get more money. So I like it. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. So we addressed a lot of areas on offense, and we already had pretty stacked defense. And now, speaking of defense, the Sooners did get some good news. Kendall L to the OG, dude be the OG, and he playing like a pro. C. Dolby is coming back, baby. Dolby had the completely gnarly injury earlier in the year. And this week, Dolby broke the news via his Instagram account, including the quote, "Pain is my fuel, run it back." Dolby may be having his best season before the injury. He's coming back to a stacked Oklahoma defense. Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Dominic Williams, Peyton and Eli, PJ, all these cats, not to mention all the young bloods that are going to have a major impact on this defense. Oh, speaking of, Robert Spears Jennings also announced he was returning to the Sooners. So it's going to be a good mix, youth infusion and grizzled vets coming in there. Not worried about this defense at all. Now, one Sooner that Sooner Nation is patiently waiting to get confirmation from is R. Mason Thomas. Thomas coming off a breakout season, and word broke around bowl time that he would return. Then those posts all got deleted. Now Thomas doing a bit of cryptic trolling, if you will, on his Instagram account. He posted a montage, a play, and then a Grease reference. Danny Zuko sitting out front of the school of Rydell High, a.k.a. Venice High School, right down there on Palms, baby. First time you see it, you're like, hey, Grease. Anyways, Danny Zuko sitting out front of the school, going back to school for his senior year. I don't know that he would go through all this trouble just to troll the nation if he was leaving to go pro. So I feel like it's a good sign for the Sooners. Thomas has a chance to come back and improve his draft stock and make some money. Really came on at the end of the season, was the closer that the Sooners needed, and did so in emphatic fashion in a lot of games last year. Now, full disclosure, my motives are purely selfish, okay? But I think if the team improves, R. Mason has a chance to grow his brand, put out even more tape that will increase his draft stock. Very similar to what Nick Bonito's doing now that he's got his opportunity in Denver. Come back, get another year, be a household name. So I'm stoked for our Mason Thomas. I think he is coming back. And much like the DC announcement for the Sooners, I am assuming R. Mason will announce his intentions as soon as we release this show. And that's fine with me if he does indeed announce he is returning for his next season on this defense. Now, I know the sky was falling because of how many players we lost in the portal, but with these rosters getting reduced down to 105 players, there wasn't room for all these cats on the squad. A lot of them weren't going to have a home. A lot of them were probably informed of their situation moving into the next year, so they got out in front of it. So we're going to see a lot more talent distributed throughout the teams. It's not just the Sooners have to get down. All these schools have to get down. So that's going to push some talent around, and unfortunately, it's going to leave some players leave them out to hanging out to dry because there just won't be a place for them. So we'll see how that continues to unfold, but pretty stoked with what's going on with the Sooners and can't wait to get to spring ball and see this team in action. Speaking of action, we had the college football playoff second round action got started last week. Penn State against Boise on Friday, and Penn State rolled in this one 31-14. From the get-go, Boise looked kind of overwhelmed. PSU selling out to stop the run. They got up quick 14-0, and it looked like it was going to be all Penn State. But Boise State finally got it going a little bit. And in the third quarter, actually got that thing. It was 24-14. They had a touchdown, would have made it 24-21, but a hands to the face took the Boise State touchdown off the board. And the next play, an interception, and that pretty much ended the game there. Ashton Genty, he hit 100 yards, but his average was 3.5. I think that was probably his low of the year. Maddox Madsen, 3 interceptions on the day. Didn't play his best football. Lots of mistakes by this Boise State team. They had played so well. And they did some good stuff in this game too, but just got going too late. I thought they should have done more play action early on because Penn State was selling out to stop their run. On the day, only 108 rushing yards for Boise State, and Penn State had double that. They had 216 rushing yards. 13 penalties for Boise, 4 turnovers, just too many mistakes. That's not going to get it done at this level of competition. Drew Aller, not a great day when you look 13 to 25, only 171, but 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Caden Allen running all over Boise State, 17 carries, 134 yards. And Penn State was just way too much for Boise. So, but it really was that third quarter, that hands to the face, called off that touchdown. Would have loved to see what would have happened, giving Boise life right there in only a 3-point game. How would Penn State handled that pressure? But we'll never know because they got ripped right off the board. So that was Friday's standalone game. And then New Year's Day, we got the triple header and one of the best college football games I've ever seen. Texas against ASU. Unfortunately, Texas wins 39-31 in double overtime. And this looked like it was going to be all Texas too. ASU drives down, drive stall, so they had to settle for 3. And then the ensuing Texas drive, boom, 2-play touchdown. And early on in this thing, it was like Arizona State was struggling for everything, and Texas looked like it was just going to be too easy for them. They forced another 3-and-out. Sun Devils punt. On that punt, 75-yard punt return touchdown. Puts Texas up 14-3. They would continue that domination. It was 24-8 at the end of the third quarter. Moving into the fourth, Texas up 24-8. And the only thing that had really gone right for ASU at this point was the safety that they got to make that 24-8. It felt like anytime there was a game-changing play, Texas was making it. And we hadn't seen much of Scattaboo either. That was until 4th and 2. We know Scattaboo likes to run. We saw him hurling there on the sideline earlier, but what did they say? Puke and rally, baby. 4th and 2, Scattaboo, 42-yard touchdown. Pass. That's right. ASU gets the 2. Now only down 8 with 6.5 minutes left in the game. 24-16. Texas starting to pucker a little bit. They're driving. Ewers, play action. He goes deep. Interception by Robinson. ASU takes over on their own 21. 5.5 minutes left in this game. The very next play, you know who? It's Scattaboo. Levitt over the top. Scattaboo, great catch, great run, 62 yards. Tack on a face mask. If that Texas player doesn't rip off his face mask, he's rolling right into the end zone. ASU 1st and goal at the UT8. Guess who? After a pass interference, guess who? You know who? Cam Scattaboo. Touchdown. Going for 2. Levitt buys like 15 seconds. No good, but a holding on UT. Gave me a chance to say it one more time. You know who? It is Scattaboo. We are all tied up. 24-24. 5 minutes left in the game. Scattaboo with more yards than UT. How will they respond? Hugely. Texas drives, getting to field goal range. Auburn. It's a miss. ASU, 1.5 timeout left. And at this point, I'm thinking, got to question Sark throwing the ball on all those plays and not taking any time off the clock and giving ASU free clock stoppage. So ASU takes over. They are driving. They have a 3rd and 15 coming up around midfield. Levitt throws it. It's a catch. It's going to be short, but it's a targeting by Texas. Clearly, helmet to helmet. We're about to see ASU with 15 yards, going to be at the Texas 37 with plenty of time left in this game. The refs go to look at it. No targeting. I'm losing my freaking mind right here. I cannot believe it. It's clear helmet to helmet contact. You see him launch, hit the guy. It feels like it's a fix in there because that by definition is helmet to helmet. It's completely, I don't know. It felt very shady. It felt so shady. Almost the powers that be. Nonetheless, ASU has to punt. They should have been driving there to set up the game-winning field goal. Instead, they give up a Texas drive. Texas has the game-winning field goal attempt, but Auburn misses yet again. This one off the post. We're going into overtime. Sun Devils start with the ball, 4th and 1. Levitt sneaks it. First down, ASU. 17-yard run on 3rd and 15. 1st and goal inside the ASU 5. And you see Scadaboo just struggling, digging deep, trying to find anything that he can do. And ASU and Scadaboo get the touchdown. 4 broken tackles. Extra point is good. 31-24. Texas now with the ball. Have to respond. They're looking at a 4th and 7, 4th and 8, false start. Now, Texas with the 4th and 13. Ewers to Golden. Huge play. Touchdown. Caught the safety flat-footed. Cost him big time. You go back, and they didn't review it during the time. To me, looked like that ball came loose and hit the ground. You know, if they're not calling that the targeting, they're definitely not going to call that. Texas ties it up. Next Texas possession. Ewers right to helm. Touchdown. 2-pointers good. Texas up 8. And on 3rd down, Levitt throws an interception. Game over. Texas escapes with some help from the officials. I don't think there was anybody outside of Austin that wasn't a huge Scadaboo fan on that day. 30 carries, 143 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 8 catches, 99 receiving yards. Throw in a passing touchdown. ASU dominates. 510 yards to 375 for Texas. 29 first downs to 17. 37, almost 38 minutes of possession. They had so many times they were in Texas territory and didn't convert into points. A couple turnovers on downs, a missed field goal. They should have been in this game. They should have won this game, even without the stupid helmet to helmet. Texas rushing yards, 53 yards on 30 carries, 1.8. That is not good enough. Texas only 5 of 13 on 3rd down, 2 for 2 on 4th down, though, when it mattered. And I have to give it up. Quinn Ewers, besides that interception, played pretty good ball, especially the 4th and 13 that he hit Golden on. But that run game, they could not get it going. And it seems like if Arizona State could have gotten out of the gate a little bit quicker, could have been a whole different story. Or if we just get that helmet to helmet targeting call. And then it was the Rose Bowl, and this one was all Ohio State. They destroyed Oregon 41-21. OSU came out hot. 2 big plays, and it's already 14-0 Buckeyes. Jeremiah Smith dominating early. 4 grabs, 118 yards, and a touchdown. We're still in the first quarter. And Oregon's got no answers for that Ohio State offense. They are doing whatever they want. And the Oregon just could never get back in this thing. I mean, 34-8 at halftime, and then it was kind of on cruise control from there. Will Howard, 17-26, 319, 3 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, 8 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith on the day, 7 for 187 and 2 touchdowns. Had it been a closer game, he could have done more damage, but they just didn't need him to. Rushing in this game, 181 rushing yards as a team, 5.8 per attempt. Oregon finishes the day. I know these are sack yards, but negative 23 at negative 0.8 per carry. This was complete ass kicking, top to bottom, start to finish. DG with a pretty good game, 29-41, 299 and 2 touchdowns, but it was over before it started. DG, he does finish as all-time touchdown pass leader in college, so that is pretty sweet for him. But oh my goodness, Ohio State, impressive. Mentioned Henderson, 11.8 yard average per carry. Jeremiah Smith, 26.7 per grab. And holy smokes, that Michigan loss lit a fire under the Buckeyes, and they're making everybody pay for it. Obviously, the nightcap, the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame versus Georgia, it was postponed due to the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. Just a sad and gross and scary situation there. But the game would be played the following day, and this one was all Notre Dame. They whooped Georgia 23-10. Pretty sloppy first quarter for both teams. Mistakes by both teams. Georgia driving, and that's when Etienne fumbled deep in Notre Dame territory. So we end the first quarter 0-0. And then a huge Georgia play in their ensuing possession down to Notre Dame 11. The Georgia bench player runs into the ref. I'm seeing people out there calling, oh, it shouldn't have been a penalty. Dude, you were in the spot. You ran into the ref. That's a penalty every day of the week. Sorry, you got to pay attention. Where's the get back coach? Okay. And then it was funny. They kept showing him the player further and further away from Kirby, like behind everybody. He learned his lesson, but maybe they get points on that drive. I don't know, because the Notre Dame defense was kicking total ass. Anyways, after the penalty, Georgia had to settle for a field goal. Notre Dame gets it tied and then actually gets a lead 6-3 with 33 seconds left in the second quarter. Georgia deep in their own territory. Kirby decides to throw the ball. It's a sack fumble. Notre Dame takes over. That's Georgia's second turnover of the game. Notre Dame ball at the Georgia 13. Said 33 seconds left. Very next play, Riley Leonard to Jordan Faison. Notre Dame touchdown, 13-3, going into the half. Free gift by Kirby right there. Bad coaching decision, brah. Opening kickoff. Notre Dame to receive. Harrison, 98 yards to the house. Notre Dame running away with this thing at 20-3. Third quarter, little sign of life. Huge drop by Bell, but Georgia still scores. They get it to 20-10, but that would be it. This Notre Dame defense, outstanding. Shut down this Georgia offense. Granted, it was Gunnar Stockton instead. Decent day, but should they even been there without their starting quarterback? You got Florida State out of there when Jordan Travis went down last year, but Georgia still in there. 2 of 12 on third down. 0 for 3 on fourth down. Only 16 first downs on the day. 300 total yards. Only 66 yards rushing for the Bulldogs. 2.3 per carry, but the 2 turnovers, they were costly. that touchdown right before halftime kind of put this game away, and Georgia could never recover. And that Notre Dame run game and that Notre Dame defense. It was Riley Leonard leading the way, running the football. They're going to have to find more in the pass game because I don't think, well, maybe they can get past Penn State with that pass game, maybe 15 to 24, 90 yards, 3.8 per. But if they can beat Georgia with that, if that defense can do what they did against the Dogs, then who knows? But a great win for Notre Dame, coming back from losing to Northern Illinois and then just going on a crazy run. So we got the Final Four set up. And don't forget, are you guys wanting to throw BV out? Fans were calling to fire Freeman and Day for the last couple years. And they've had some time and they've worked it out and they've gotten these programs one game away from the national championship. So cool your jets, people. Just firing everybody is not a plan. I know there's going to be heat on BV, and this is a very important year, and he's going to have to show a lot of improvement. But we've added to the areas we need. We got the quarterback. We got the offensive coordinator. We got a great defense coming back. So a lot of it is lining up for a good 2025 for the Sooners. But before we get to all that, we have 3 college football games left. Getting started on Thursday night, Notre Dame against Penn State in the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame starting as a 1.5 favorites in this one. Penn State's had pretty good offense the last couple of games against Oregon in the Big Ten championship, against SMU, and then against Boise State. Those defenses are not Notre Dame, okay? It's going to be way more difficult for Penn State to get points in this game, I think. I'm just so impressed with that Notre Dame defense. And then you flip it over. What can Notre Dame do on offense? They've been running the hell out of the ball, but they've not gotten much out of the passing attack. They're going to need a little bit of that against Penn State. And whichever of these teams has less turnovers is probably going to win the football game. It is going to be a defensive clash, though, in my opinion. And then Friday, January 10th, from the Cotton Bowl in Jarrah World, it is the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the University of Texas, 2 S's, Longhorns with the W. Ohio State 6-point favorites in this one. And since this playoff got started, Ohio State has looked like the best team in every area. And what we saw, ooh, baby, at the Rose Bowl, if they can do that, I don't know that they can be stopped. Texas, they're grimy. They keep finding ways to win games even when they shouldn't. It's a veteran squad that responds to pressure pretty well. A ton of heat on Quinn Ewers. If they don't win this game, why didn't they play Arch, no matter how well he plays? And there's a rumor out there that there's a big amount of money in the transfer portal for Ewers to take advantage of. We'll see if any of that comes to fruition, but hopefully this is their last game of the season. It's going to be a pro-Texas crowd. Oh, interesting that this game is being played in the state of Texas. A lot has lined up for the Horns to go on this run. Light SEC schedule, favorable matchup, a non-call in a critical situation in the game, and now they get to host the Cotton Bowl just a couple hours outside of Austin. But that Ohio State team is no joke, and if Texas can come out and beat these guys, then they will have earned it. So it is going to be good stuff, people. I am a huge Buckeyes fan next week. Full transparency, I don't care. We know we hate the Horns on this show. Sooner state of mind. How could you not hate the Horns, all right? We're going to have some good pro football this weekend too. Next week, we'll know who's playing in the national championship, and we will also have all the playoff scenarios situated for the NFL with a ton of Sooners going into the postseason, scattered throughout the NFL, all in different squads. So you get to root for our boys in a lot of different teams. So that is going to be pretty sweet. Okay. That is going to do it for this episode of Sooner State of Mind. Go ahead and head on over to Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Go to shows. Type in Sooner State of Mind. You are locked. And we have a ton of great content. Every team, every topic, everywhere. Believe.com. If you want to watch Sooner State of Mind, head on over to YouTube and search the Football Dudes. We are there. Go ahead and like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Music, wherever the hell you get your podcasts. Sooner State of Mind is there. Want to remind you guys that Sooner State of Mind is brought to you by Bet Online. My name is Casey Mallon, and I am in a Sooner State of Mind.